Amazing.
Amazing. All right.
Amazing.
Well, today we're going to be talking about finances, and we're going to talk about, the business's financial readiness, really. And we all know about the standard paperwork that you're going to have to do, like the cash flow statement of cash flows and the income statements and all those things. So we're not going to even talk about those tonight. We just want to talk about, how do you operate on kind of um, a broader sense, right?
Mo money for your
Mo
business.
money. Yeah. So the first thing we wanted to talk about, well, first, I'm Corey Myers
I'm Robert Lyon.
and Robert Lyons over there. And we're trying to help you grow your business through Level Up Business Development. We've got a free Facebook group, and we've got lots of resources for you, including this live that we're going to put in the guides on the Facebook group. So pay attention, grab a pencil, grab a pen, grab some paper, and we'll get some knowledge out here. So the first thing is artificially reducing your profits. A lot of people do this. We wanted to make sure that we kind of go over what that means and how that affects your business and affects the value of your business. Right, Robert?
Yeah. So what is it? Artificially reduced profits. So that means you're artificially telling the banks or telling investors, or who are you telling that it's artificial? Or
You're telling everybody, because what's happening is when you purchase something using the business that doesn't need to be business oriented, that artificially reduces your profits. So let's say that you buy, your wife technically works for the company, and so she gets a vehicle through the company. And I should say your spouse or your partner, because it could be anybody. Your spouse or your partner, and you get them a leased Escalade. It's the newest Escalade every year, every 2 years, whatever it is. That money is coming straight out of the company coffers to pay for that leased Escalade. Now, it's a company vehicle, so it's got some tax benefits because it's over 5,500 pounds. But at the end of the day, if I came in to buy your business and I saw that, that would be a red flag for me. I would pay less for your business because I'm going to have to make up that difference when I take over.
I wonder why that rule is. Like, if you buy a vehicle that's heavy, they'll give you, it's considered a company vehicle. Is it because for like trucking companies, you think, or they just
trucks? Yeah. Yeah. The basics of it are, I'm using a truck that's heavy duty and heavy. It's over 5,500 pounds to move boxes or equipment or whatever. And so Escalades and Land Rovers actually fit into that category because they're heavier. However, that's your significant other may not be using it for company benefit all the time, or maybe even ever. So at the end of the day, that's really artificially reducing your profits. And that could go for a lot of different things. Are you allowing expenses in your company that are taking profit away from your bottom line? That could be some, hey, we're a brand new startup and we want everybody gets shirts and hats and coffee mugs and all that stuff with our logo on it. Well, when you're brand new and you're starting up, yeah, that might seem good, but you just artificially reduced your profits by buying a bunch of things that really didn't need to be bought.
I wanted to mention today's episode is sponsored by a Show Me Your Spreadsheets t-shirt that Corey made, which I think is awesome.
I guess I'll pull it up now. All right.
If you can,
let's see. Yeah, I think I can pull it up.
No, I thought that was great, man. I want one of those, and I don't even know how to spreadsheet. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's here we go. Inner Circle. Show Me Your Spreadsheets t-shirt now on sale in a hidden website. If you want one of these shirts, you can go there's a link on the Facebook page or the Facebook group. So we've got the white, and on the back it's got the Inner Circle logo for our other private group. and show me your spreadsheets. So go get it. That's my sales pitch.
Nice.
So yeah, so we do have the shirts available, and they are
They're
they are comfortable. They are the next level brand shirts, so
nice.
they're pretty awesome. Okay, so artificially reducing profits. Speaking of, like shirts and hats and things that don't really need to be, or they're taking up inventory and they're not meant to be sold, things like that. So I've got boxes and boxes of hundreds and hundreds of shirts in inventory. They're not meant to be sold, they're meant to be handed out. Is there a way that we can maybe pay for that over time or buy them as needed, as opposed to having them in a storage closet for a decade?
Mhm.
So those are some of the basic things that you're doing to artificially reduce profits. And it may seem that you're doing something, you're doing the right thing by getting the tax break for your spouse. But if you're looking to boost the value of your company, it's really not the right thing, right?
All about boosting the value of your business.
All about boosting the value. The second thing about reduced profits, artificially reducing your profits, is that makes your company a lot less robust and able to take the waves that come in the market. So when you're spending all of this money and your clients keep dwindling, then you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to cut back. Where are you going to cut back first? Well, is it the spouse's vehicle? Probably not, because you've got a tie to that person, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like, hey, things are getting tight. We're going to take your Escalade. Hell no, you're not. Right? So yeah, you have to go home and sleep in the same bed as that person. You're probably not going to cut that first, right?
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that you're doing those things early and planning ahead. And a lot of companies, they have a C corp, and then they have a leasing company, and they've done it correctly. But a lot of companies that I've been around, they artificially reduce by charging things, and they just shouldn't. Anything else from you, Robert?
No, I mean, I'm still just trying to think, like, the main reason you wouldn't want to be doing artificially reduced stuff is if you're going to sell the business, or is it just in case, like, you have somebody looking through your books, or you're just trying to not pay taxes and stuff like that? Are those the big things?
Those are the big things, but I think the even bigger thing, the way I think about it, is your valuation on your business. It matters, because if something happens in the market
Mhm.
and you don't have enough to cover your loss, then your financial score is like your lifeblood, or is like taking your blood pressure, right?
Yep.
So your finances really give you an overall look at the health of your business. So it really is important to monitor these things and make sure you're not artificially reducing those profits, because at the end of the day, you have to, especially if you've got shareholders, you have to report to those shareholders and say, we didn't make the same amount of growth this quarter or whatever. If you're a CEO, if you're a business owner, it's still a way to make sure that when something like COVID hits or something else, I know businesses that went over, but they kept their Porsche and they kept their nice house, but the business is gone.
Right.
I would keep the business before the house and the Porsche. That's just me, because I know the business is going to make me money tomorrow.
Right.
So there's a lot of people, and that's a real story from a real company that I've had the pleasure of dealing with. But yeah, they lost the company, and they kept the Porsche, they kept the Escalade, and they kept the house. It was about a $500,000 house. So and of course they walked away with a significant amount of cash. But instead of holding out and saying we're gonna trudge through this, they just collapsed it and let it go. So I think you need to know what your financial score, because it was going to start taking out of their pocket, out of their savings, to run the business because they didn't have enough profit to sustain the losses.
Oh wow.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's a huge thing. The next thing is like bookkeeping, man. Just being organized. I know you use QuickBooks, don't you, Robert?
I like QuickBooks a lot. I mean, I've used quite a few different ones. I just like QuickBooks because you can do everything. You can do your bookkeeping. You can even just get a debit card, and QuickBooks can just have cash in there, and you can just, instead of sending it to your bank or doing anything, it can just stay in there, and you can do stuff with it. So
Yeah, perfect.
top of it.
Yeah, I think if you're using QuickBooks, that's not a problem. If you're getting to the point where QuickBooks isn't doing it, and you need to get an accountant and a bookkeeper to do things, they may recommend a different program. I think just for solopreneurs and people like that, ZipBooks is another one that is pretty easy to do. It does not have all the bells and whistles, but because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, it's not as expensive. One of the things that you will be looking for in a bookkeeping software is the ability to have all of your financial documents printed out at a whim, right? So if somebody comes and audits and says, "Hey, what do your numbers look like?" then you can pull that up pretty quickly.
What are your basic like bookkeeping things? Like, let's say for your entrepreneurs, like if you're going to be looking at people's books, or if you're going to set up like your books, is there a certain way that you like to do it, or that you think about it?
Yeah. So if I come in and audit your books, usually I'm going to be looking for your top level documents, your income statements, your assets, your cash flow, all of your main documents that you can print out. Let me just get like a list of reports here: balance sheet, income statement, percent of sales, cash flow statement, your general ledger. I'm going to take a look at that. Your expenses summary. We're definitely going to deep dive into that. Your billable expenses, and all of the little things that can add up to a big cost at the end of the year. If you're paying 2.9% for your credit card expenses, your credit card processing expenses, and you're doing $10 million in revenue per year, you might be paying too much. Right. You might want to hone down on that. Now, if you're doing $100,000 a year, 2.9, and it's easy and it integrates with your stuff, that Square, the Stripe, all of those. If it's easy and it integrates with your stuff, then Stripe and Square have a lot of tools that you can also use to look at when the heaviest days are going to be that you're going to experience revenue, and things like that. That's worth the 2.9% in my perspective, for a small business. But your bookkeeping should reflect where you are in your business, and then obviously the best way to do it is just hire a bookkeeper and an accountant. Just have those people manage everything for you.
I've always done my books, and they always end up just getting out of control, and then I'm fucked. And then I have to hire my girlfriend or find a in there.
Well, and that's a lot of people. A lot of people have that that kind of mindset. It's like, hey, we started out doing it ourselves. I would recommend just starting out with a bookkeeper, even though it's going to be one of those things where it's an expense. If you're starting out, you're bootstrapping, I get it. If you're starting out with a couple thousand and you can really do, or even tens of thousands or millions of dollars, if you're starting out, there's no excuse for you not to have a bookkeeper. So, that'll protect you. And I'll tell you this, it's kind of a liability thing too. That'll protect you from someone else coming in and like the IRS and saying, "Hey, you didn't do this right." Well, I've got a bookkeeper. That kind of gives you an extra layer of protection as well. So that although you're signing the documents, you do have somebody that is responsible, your CFO, your bookkeeper, for those finances. And so that does keep you a little bit more protected. And then we know somebody's got a monthly expense bill that keeps growing, and it's because of domains. Uh, so, what are your monthly expenses right now? What do you need to cut? What are
Yeah.
you not using? I've used software before, or I've paid for software before, and I'm like 2 months in, I'm like, I'm still paying for that. I haven't used that in 2 months. Cut it off. And so eat every month. Just go through and say, hey, we're spending a lot on meals for the team. Let's maybe cut that back to every Friday or something instead of every day, or whatever those little expenses they add up.
Yeah, going
And
into the future with our economy, monthly expenses, you really got to sit down and take a look at those. And I think just cut everything that you possibly is not necessary. Make your business a lean, mean, like, profit machine, basically, and just analyze, is this worth keeping? Is it not? Is there a cheaper opportunity? What can you do? So I think that's a good note.
I think it's also a good note to take a break and say, if you are if you're watching us live, go ahead and comment. Get your comment up here. Go to streamyard.com/Facebook to log in with your Facebook, and you'll get your picture up and everything like that. I think it's automatic on YouTube, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. But yeah, go ahead and get on here and ask us some questions about this stuff. We're seeing a lot less questions than last night, so let's get your questions out. If you have any questions, we'll try to answer them live on the air.
People are scared to talk money. They're like,
yeah, I'll tell you, that's another thing. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's very taboo to talk about money, but you have to make progress, and
Right.
people just don't like talking about it. But I love talking about it, because that to me is where I am. That's my swimming pool. And I'm an Olympic swimmer when it comes to that, and so that's really where I like to live, is the finances, and looking at how much you're spending on certain things. If you're spending X number of dollars on electricity every month, and then all of a sudden I see a spike in electricity, I'm gonna go digging for what caused that spike in electricity. Was it the heat? Was it a machine that was just getting bogged down and and the electric motor in that was just sucking power off the grid? I don't know, but I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna save you that money next year.
I saw a meme of Jon Snow, from Game of Thrones, and he says, "Utility bills are coming."
I think that was in our group. Yeah, someone posted that. Yeah, that was hilarious. I was like, that was oddly specific. But yeah, I loved that. That was awesome. I think I copied that over and pasted that somewhere else. But yeah, so that's one of the things, is like, make sure your bookkeeping is professional, and make sure your monthly expenses are reflective of what you're actually doing, what you're actually using, and those monthly expenses should be giving you an ROI. So don't think of them as expenses, but again, leverage on what you're trying to accomplish. So if my machine is just sitting there not doing anything, maybe it's time to sell that machine. Or maybe I only use that machine once a year. It's time to probably sell that machine and figure out how to accommodate those clients in a different way, in a less expensive way. And that goes for software too. Like, let's combine some software. I'm using this software for CRM, and this software for emails, and this software for. Let's find a software that meets all of our needs, or at least all 3 of those needs, or 4 of those needs. Combine it, and hopefully it'll be cheaper than all 4 softwares combined over month, right? Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. Softwares often give you a yearly discount. So if you pay for your software, I've got a software stack that costs me about $12,000 a year if I paid it monthly, but $10,000 a year if you just pay the lump sum for the year, right? So that saves me a couple $1,000 every year. Yeah. And that's if I'm full stack, doing all kinds of things. So, and usually I'm not. I've cut back on a lot of that just because the market. So. Right. I'm not using all of it, so let's cut it out.
Yeah.
What are you going to cut out this month, Robert?
I'm doing good. I don't got to cut shit now. I accidentally paid for 2 goddamn scheduling accounts, and I can't shut it off. No matter what I do, I can't figure it out. So I got to fucking contact somebody.
Oh man.
Bastard. Maybe
Yeah.
just talk to someone to cancel my thing. But yeah, no.
Yeah. Which yeah, that's sometimes I've even done that. I've clicked the yearly price and I'm like, I only have enough for the month. And I click the yearly price and it sucks a bunch of money out of my bank account. I'm like, that wasn't what I wanted to do. But most of the time, that's the way that I operate, is trying to get those yearly payments, because it's like a 40% reduction in costs for me. It's quite large.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's that shift, though, to think long term as opposed to short term. And I think that's a big thing for finances in general.
Well, and that kind of leads us into key supplier pricing. Now, most of my suppliers, since I'm a service business, are software as a service. They are consulting services. They are contractor. They're supplying me with labor, right, or whatever that I need. For a print company, it may be paper. For a bakery, it may be flour and sugar. What are your key suppliers pricing your goods at? And can you get it somewhere less expensive? Can you get it somewhere that delivers faster? And then cash flow wise, can you get it somewhere where they can delay your payment up to 90 days? So you
Right.
have to pay for everything. So you actually are getting money up front from your clients, but you're paying 90 days later, which is
Right.
going to stretch out your cash flow. And that's going to help you master that. Key supplier pricing, key supplier relationships are very key to your financial readiness and success. If you've got your money in your pocket right now, but you don't have to pay somebody for 90 days, that allows you to stretch that out and say, hey, I'm going to make tons of cakes this month with all of this stuff, and I don't have to pay for it for 90 days. That would be fantastic, right? Yeah. Same with electricity bills, same with everything. So if there's ways that you can stretch out your payment but collect money from your clients up front, then your cash flow is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in negotiating your money. So for all these suppliers, and one of my favorite things about Sam Walton's book, I think it's Made in America, is he would go to the suppliers for Walmart when it was starting up, and he would negotiate in person, and he would negotiate the absolute best price they possibly could do, and then he would give the savings to his customers, and that's why Walmart became so successful. But yeah, just being able to go and have that conversation and see if that's the absolute best that they can do, that's a big proponent for suppliers and for pricing and everything else, that if you can be mindful of going back and negotiating and getting the best price you can.
Yeah, and I think that is something that a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing anymore. Right. People don't like the confrontation of a negotiation and things like that. What other things do you think we could possibly do with a random business to improve their financial readiness?
To improve their financial readiness, in which way? To make more money, or to get a better deal, or what do you explain?
Let's go after make more money. How can we make more money through making sure your finances are better?
Well, I mean, the first thing I always go through my client is, what was your best month last year, right? We look back at the past, and what was the best profit gain month that you had last year, and how come? And then when we do that, we just basically find whatever the key thing is. I mean, that's like the low-hanging fruit, So if we're a business and we need to make some cash right now, number one is go back, figure out what worked last year, and do that again. Number two is try and sell to your current base of customers. Make a sale. I have a campaign. It's called the 4-day, cash cow, basically, or cash machine, and it just takes 4 days. You run a sale. You basically announce it the first day. You announce it again the second day. You announce it the third day, and then on the fourth day, you hit them with like 3 or 4 emails at like a great price. And if you don't want to lower your price, all you have to do is add a bonus to your product. And it's just all about being relevant, and that'll definitely generate sales, especially if you say, this ends at midnight. This is the last email. This is the last time we're going to talk about this. That FOMO, that fear of missing out, that's a psychological trigger that will get people to whip out their credit card and buy your product. So those are the first things I always look for if I'm trying to generate more cash.
Let's talk about saving then. What other things can we look for in a business that would save that business some money with regard to their finances?
Saving, well, like we just talked about, negotiating. You can say, look, I bet a lot of businesses, like big companies right now, are using the economic fear in the market to go and negotiate better prices and better connections, because people might be afraid. But like we were talking about drop shipping last time. So when I started a drop shipping company and we started getting sales, I actually like set up emails and I talked to all these like people in China, and they actually were pretty cool. And they finally got somebody who spoke English, and we made a deal together, and they got us a way better price. We just had to order a little bit more in bulk. And like the company that we were with, like they never thought about doing that. Like they said they tried and they just got tired of all the customer service. So you just got to try and get to the decision maker, and then what's his face? And there's this funny story. It's about people. There's ducks and then there's eagles. Okay, so ducks are like when you're trying to get on a plane, right? And the flight attendant tells you, oh, there's no seats available. So then you say, look, there's got to be seats available. I know there is. Find somebody who can actually make this decision. And the duck will go get an eagle. The eagle will come back, click a few buttons, and boom, all of a sudden it's possible. So you just got to find the people that are making the decisions and can make things happen, as opposed to the ducks that are just lame and they'll just say no. They don't know how to do anything. Like there's somebody who can make a decision that can probably benefit you. That was kind of off topic a little bit, but I think it has to do with saving money, negotiating your money. Other ways that you can save money. I mean, just look where you can cut expenses, get frugal with it, like put on your Benjamin, hat and be like, let's save some pennies today. Like, what can we do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think let's end on waste in processes. Financial waste in your processes is always prevalent. I've never walked into a business and they were perfect in waste in their processes. And we can talk about waste at a later time, but there's 8 common wastes of the Lean Six Sigma model. And so transportation waste and actually misutilizing talent. So we've got this really talented person, but they're boxed in by their management or something like that. And so they're actually not making you as much money as they possibly could because they're in the wrong job with the wrong manager. And so we can look at a lot of different things financially at the waste in the process and say, hey, you're spending X number of dollars on these employees when you might be able to get away with one highly trained employee as opposed to 3 stooges over here, or something like that. And so we can look at some of those things and look at the processes by which they're doing it. There's repeatable circular workflows and things like that. So Robert hands me a document. I hand it back to Robert because he didn't do something right. Now Robert has to go look at that and figure out what he's got to do right, because I didn't tell him. I just told him it was wrong. And then he hands it back to me thinking he's got it right. It's still wrong. I do the same thing. I hand it back. This is wrong. And I don't explain it. Well, that's a circular workflow. Now we've wasted. Well, Robert's a $60,000, $80,000 employee. Now he's got to go back and critique and edit his paperwork at a high level. Yes, you should be able to do some of that. But at a certain point, the person receiving it would say, oh, that should be an A instead of a U, and just connect the dots. Yeah. Instead of just handing it back. That, some of those algorithmic tasks get misutilized, and you should be able to do some of that and fix those things. So waste in process is another financial readiness thing that really will get you to the point where you're making lots of profit, your margins are high, and your processes are easy for your employees to do. Therefore, they go home happy at the end of the day, plop on the couch and say, man, that was a good day. Right?
And like we were saying, ways to save money. I mean, firing people that aren't producing enough, that's a quick way for a business to save some money. And if you're an employee, make yourself a linchpin where you're so valuable that the business wouldn't run without you. You know, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's there's two sides to both of those blades. Firing people and then having to hire actually costs you some more money. But if you're hiring better people, that hiring process should pay off. If those people weren't pulling their weight, but we also have to look at the Pareto principle. 80% of your workforce is probably going to do 20% of the work, whereas 20% of your workforce is going to do probably 80% of the work. So you have to understand that you're going to have those people that come in and clock out. And there's really no way around it other than to be as engaging as possible and get those people to as many people into the in-group as possible. When it comes down to leadership dynamics, try to get them into the inner circle, if you will, because those people are going to give you something back, and you're going to give those people back when you're the owner or the manager. And those are going to be the interacting people that really want to go above and beyond to help you out. And that's a wasted process. You're absolutely right. If you've got 6 salespeople and 4 of them haven't sold anything in 2 months, it might be time to reduce your staff because you're paying them a salary plus commission or something, and they're not doing anything. It's like, what are we paying you for? So get them out of there and get somebody in there that really knows. And that's something that I write a lot about, is the coercive leadership style of a sales rectifier, right? Mm-hmm. So you get somebody at the car dealership. The car dealership hasn't made any money, but it's owned by this big conglomerate, right? So this big conglomerate sends, we'll call him Scott, down to the store, and he is mean. He is not a nice person. If you do it his way, he is very nice to you. He brings you in the in group. He buys you lunch. He'll loan you $100. But if you don't sell exactly like he says, you're out of there. I don't like you. You're gone, right? Yeah. And ABC, coffee is for closers, that kind of person, right? So that's a coercive leader. And really, you can use that very sparingly. You want someone mean to come in and say, this ship is facing the absolute wrong direction. Let's turn it around and go the other direction, steer the ship in the right direction. How do we do that? We've got to do it my way or the highway, because I am trained to do this. I'm very good at it. We had a master sergeant in the military. We called the Bulldog. She was mean. But once she left, we were like, she was protecting us this whole time from all this, these sergeants and sergeant majors trying to come and grab us from our work spot and make us do heavy lifting. But she was like, no, these are my guys. They're working for me right now. So waste in process, and that's a waste in process, misutilized talent. These people are working right now. They are doing a job. Don't take them somewhere else to do something else. They have a job here. They're doing their job, even though you think it's lazy because it's on the computer.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I was thinking some other ways to save money is tracking. Tracking everything is really big. So, like in marketing, I've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars by paying a little bit more for these softwares that track where your revenue is actually coming from. Yeah, metrics. There we go. So if you can actually tell which ads are working and then which ads are just burning holes in your profits, you're going to be able to save a lot of money, and you're going to be able to actually take that money and put it towards something that's going to make you more money. So metrics, just tracking everything. And that's a big thing about business, is just like we're talking about, being organized, becoming kind of a perfectionist with your numbers and your organization and stuff like that. That's how you're going to really get ahead. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys want to dig deep into some of the financial readiness things that we talked about today and go a little bit deeper, just reach out to Robert or I, and we will be happy to help you. If you want to learn about artificially reducing your profits and see if there's an audit that we can do for your business, we can help with that. Your bookkeeping, we can help connect you with a bookkeeper, or help you design your bookkeeping software. Monthly expenses, we can help you look through your list and say, hey, these are the things that I would cut. These are the things that you shouldn't be using. These are the things that are overly expensive. Let's find a better key supplier for that software, right? Let's do things like that. So if you guys have any questions about waste and processes or tracking your metrics, reach out to us and we'd be happy to help. Any closing remarks, Robert? I think let's wrap it up.
Nope, I think that was pretty good, man. So get your finances in order, learn something about making money and keeping track of your money, and just get that, that thought process. Start thinking about your money, start negotiating more for your money. If you're a business owner, you gotta fight every day like someone's trying to take your business away from you. So that involves getting the best price, and buying one of these shirts. So that's a
Yep. That's what I was going to say is show me your spreadsheets.
Yep.
Let's make sure we're showing me your spreadsheets.
Yep. You got to drop the link in the group again for that shirt.
The link is in the group. I don't want to share it out any more than it has to be shared out, but it's in the group. And we might actually end up having to have a merchandise store for the Level Up groups, because we keep saying random stuff and coming up with great ideas, like being laser focused on your business. And so just make sure that the laser eyes, man, it just cracks me up. And it's like a chicken nugget that he's staring at too. So it's just super random. But yeah, so we might end up having a store. If you'd like to see us have a store, comment, tell us we want your stuff. And we might have to do that sooner rather than later. So show me your spreadsheets, and I think we'll just we'll have to see you tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow, and special guest tomorrow. Hopefully, we've got Javier going to join us for some operations talk. I'm talking operations. Javier is going to talk the micro side of your personal planning and scheduling and tasking, and making sure that you have a schedule and a strategy for your day, for your week, and for your month. So hopefully that'll be really cool. I'm excited to talk with Javier even more. He's a Lubbockite. He's from Lubbock, just like me. But now he's still there. I'm in Austin. So we'll see how it's going over there in the LBK, as we say. All right, guys. We'll see you later.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.